All right, let's talk about one of the biggest rivalries in all of tech, maybe the biggest, Apple versus Samsung. And this isn't just about who sells the most phones. Nope, this is a clash of titans with two completely different game plans for global domination. So let's dive in and break it all down.
I mean, we're really talking about a global war here, and it's all being fought over that little device that's probably in your pocket right now. Every single year, billions, literally billions of dollars in control of the entire mobile market are on the line. The stakes? They couldn't be higher.
So here they are, our two main contenders. In one corner, you've got Apple, the sleek, design-obsessed artist all the way from Cupertino. And in the other corner, Samsung, the heavyweight manufacturing champion from South Korea. I mean, for over a decade now, these two have been duking it out for control of that phone in your hand.
But here's the thing. This is what makes this whole rivalry so fascinating. They have completely different game plans. One company is basically obsessed with profit, while the other is all about sheer volume. So that leads us to the big question, right? With two totally different playbooks, who is actually winning this thing?
Okay, first up, a tale of two titans. A quick look at their origins and how this whole battle even began. So to really get how this all started, we got to rewind the clock to 2007. Apple comes out with the first iPhone and just completely changes the game. But, Samsung was no small player. They were already this massive electronics giant. So when the iPhone just exploded onto the scene, it basically set these two titans on a collision course they couldn't avoid.
All right, next section, volume versus profit. This is the core difference in their business philosophy. And this really gets us to the fundamental difference between them, right? It's like it's in their DNA. It drives every single decision they make. And it all boils down to one simple question. Is it better to sell the most phones or to make the most money?
Well, if you're just counting phones, looking at the raw number of units shipped out the door, the winner seems pretty clear. Samsung consistently moves more devices. Their whole strategy is to just blanket the market. They've got everything from budget-friendly phones to those super high-end flagships. The goal? To make sure there's a Samsung for pretty much everyone at every price.
But then you look at who's actually making the money, and the whole story just completely flips on its head. It's kind of crazy, really. Even though Apple sells fewer phones, they manage to capture this ridiculously large slice of the entire industry's profits. It's staggering.
And that, right there, perfectly sums up their two completely different mindsets. Apple? They're all about those juicy, high profit margins on premium devices. Samsung? They're playing the long game of massive scale, selling phones at every single price point you can imagine. Two totally different paths, but hey, both have made them unbelievably successful.
Okay, let's move on to the strategic battlegrounds. We're going to see how their core philosophies play out in the real world. So how do these big ideas, volume versus profit, actually translate to the real world? Let's take a look at how it shapes their products, their ecosystems, and even their marketing. Okay, first, we need to talk about a super important concept for understanding Apple's whole game plan. It's called ecosystem lock-in. So what is that? Well, it's the magic, or, maybe the trap, depending on how you look at it, where once you buy one of their products, you suddenly feel this pull to buy others from the same company, just because they all work so seamlessly together.
And let me tell you, Apple is the absolute master of this. Think about it. Your iPhone, your Mac, your iPad, Apple Watch, AirPods, they aren't just a collection of separate gadgets. No, they're all woven together into this one smooth experience. Your messages just sync up, your photos appear everywhere, your earbuds switch from your phone to your laptop without you even thinking about it. Once you're inside this walled garden, as they call it, it becomes really hard to leave.
And Samsung's strategy? Well, it's pretty much the complete opposite. Instead of building up walls, they lean into the open nature of Google's Android. And this is huge for them. It gives them the flexibility to create this massive variety of phones for all kinds of different markets and price points. That's something Apple, with its pretty strict one-size-fits-most strategy, just can't really do.
This also totally changes how they approach innovation. Samsung is the experimenter, right? They're the ones throwing everything at the wall just to see what sticks. I'm talking huge screens, styluses, foldable phones. They were first on all that. Apple, on the other hand, almost never goes first. They're more content to wait, watch what works, and then, and only then, release a perfectly polished, refined version of that idea.
And you can see this difference so clearly in their marketing. Apple doesn't really sell a phone, they sell an identity. They sell this lifestyle of creativity, simplicity, and premium status. You almost never see them talking about tech specs. Samsung? They do the exact opposite.
Their ads are all about performance, choice, and hardware superiority. They have no problem directly comparing their camera zoom or their screen quality right next to an iPhone.
Okay, time for our next section, rivals and partners, the secret twist in their competitive relationship. So, just when you think you've got this whole rivalry figured out, there is a massive twist. I'm telling you, behind all the public fights and those attack ads, there's a secret relationship that kind of changes everything.
So in public, these two are bitter rivals. I mean, especially in the courtroom, they were basically sworn enemies. For years, they were locked in this huge, global patent war. Apple accused Samsung of straight up ripping off the iPhone's design. Honestly, it was one of the ugliest, most expensive legal brawls the tech world has ever seen.
But in private, well, that's where things get complicated. Behind those closed doors, they're not just partners, they're essential business partners. Think about this. Even while their lawyers were battling it out in court, their engineers were quietly collaborating on the next generation of products. Wild, right?
So you might be asking, what exactly is Apple buying from its biggest rival? Well, only some of the most critical components that make an iPhone an iPhone. For years, Samsung's massive manufacturing division has been a key supplier for Apple, making things like those stunning OLED display panels and the high-performance memory chips. So yeah, they are somehow each other's biggest rival and one of their most important partners all at the same time.
All right, let's get to the final verdict. So, who is actually winning the war? Okay, so we've looked at their strategies, their ecosystems, that whole secret partnership thing. So it's time to settle it. After all that, who is really winning this war?
You know, when you actually lay it all out on a scorecard, you see this really fascinating split. If your definition of winning is just pure unit sales, getting the most phones into people's hands, and having the most manufacturing power on the planet, well, Samsung gets the trophy. But if winning is about profit margin, pure brand power, and building that super sticky ecosystem, then yeah, Apple is the undisputed champion. So the truth is, both are winning, just in completely different ways. There's no simple answer here. Both of these companies are absolutely crushing it. This isn't really a story of one winner and one loser. It's the story of two brilliantly executed, yet totally opposite global strategies that are somehow both dominating the same industry at the exact same time.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. Looking to the future, which one of these strategies is built to last? Is it Apple's total ecosystem control, that walled garden? Or is it Samsung's diversified, massive global scale? I don't know the answer, but the next decade of this fight, well, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch.